Alrighty, in this video I'm going to review the Super Mario Bros. Movie and my first time experiencing a movie in 4DX, which is basically like, almost like an amusement park experience. You have a seat that tosses you around, sometimes a little violently. They should probably have a little bit, like a little warning label somewhere about whiplash, although I mean, I wasn't really feeling any danger there. I was most concerned about spilling my beverage, and I was surprised that the cup holder is part of the moving chair, which I guess it makes sense overall, but, this is motivation to buy a drink that has a cover on it, I guess, whereas a canned beverage, you're gonna have to drink a little bit of that can before the movie starts or else. In starting the movie, I realized I needed to run back out and grab those 3D glasses. Almost forgot to grab 3D glasses. I mean, you'll know when the screen gets blurry that you need glasses. And that was cool. My seating arrangements, I sat sort of near the back, not too far in the back. In fact, I was practically dead center by recommendation of a friend who suggested that mostly you can't recline. There's no like mechanism or no flexibility in that chair, which is fine. It's quite comfortable, but it's important if like you aren't able to bend your neck upward. If you're sitting too close or too low, that might be challenging. Next time I do a 4DX screening, I might very well sit closer to the front because I would like to experience the 3D effect in a more immersive manner. I was still able to experience the 3D effect. It was fine. I could definitely perceive that. But I'd be curious to have that screen, up a bit closer, making it look a bit larger to see. I went into it not even knowing who voiced who. Like, I knew that Chris Pratt did Mario's voice, and I was most concerned about that. I was a little apprehensive because I honestly, I kind of like, wanted that over-the-top Italian accent or over-the-top, it's a me. And I think part of it was because I took exception with a tweet I read where somebody expressed, I guess, happiness or was glad. They said, I'm glad that Chris Pratt will not be committing a hate crime by doing the voice in the over-the-top manner. And I took exception with that because as the grandson of an Italian-American plumber, I, actually would be quite amused by this over-the-top Italian accent, and I certainly wouldn't consider it a hate crime to do a voice. It might be like a little, borderline sketchy, but, I don't think it's like a big deal. But that being said, I think they honored the, voice that we've come to love, or the voice that many of us have at least come to know.
Press start to play.
While also making it their own, and Chris Pratt made it his own. But it didn't sound like Chris Pratt. At least I don't think it sounded like Chris Pratt. Like, I don't know. It sounded like, some guy from Brooklyn. I was pretty much fine by it, Luigi, he was fine. Freaking Jack Black. Yeah, I mean, that, for the way he played King Koopa, his musical antics really fit in. I think it really worked. I actually don't know if Jack Black did that voice. I'm pretty sure he did. Interestingly, though, I didn't even remember who Seth Rogen was doing, Turned out Seth Rogen was doing, who the hell? See, I already forgot. Which is good, because I didn't hold it against the character, but the character that Seth Rogen did was Donkey Kong. Yeah, and that was fine. I think it worked, I mean, I never really had anything against most of Seth Rogen's performances. I mean, sure, some of his comedy was like a little, immature. It's like, okay, let's have some bong hits and make some fart jokes, But overall, yeah, it worked out fine in this particular case, in my opinion. I mean, did Donkey Kong have a bit like of a youngish voice? I guess so, but I think it worked. You had like Grandpa Donkey Kong and you had young Donkey Kong, and, someone's got to be the, somewhat immature one in their family, I guess. As for our princess character, well, initially she came off a bit stuck up, but that is par for the course. We have Princess Leia. I mean, like, she's calling Chewbacca a walking carpet.
Now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
I take orders from just one person, me.
So one day you're still alive. Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
So, no big deal there. This is what you expect. I think the princess trope has been repeated time and time again. And what was kind of amusing, it was a little upsetting at first, being denigrating towards Mario for being so short. But even then, I was amused. I'm not going to say, like, I got all up in arms and offended on Mario's behalf. I mean, it's a cartoon character. But yeah, that was cool. You know, it's fine. It worked out. I think, you know, all is well that ends well. And then beyond that, no idea who voiced the Toad guy, but he was great. I was quite amused by him. It's definitely, like, I think a different rendition, or, you know, a different portrayal of what I would have expected from a Toad character, but it worked. I think it was fine. You know, once again, like, there was some degree of originality in this movie, which I appreciated. And moving on from that, Memberberries. Definitely chock full of Memberberries. Once again, par for the course. I mean, it's a video game movie. You have to have stuff from the video game. And this is something that was lacking in the Mario and John Leguizamo movie from the 90s, where you have Goombas who look like real-life Goombas. And by real-life Goombas, I mean, like, you know, guys who work for the mob. Guys, like, you know, you got, like, your Goomba is this broad-shouldered guy with no neck. And that is what you got in that 1990s Mario movie. Whereas in this movie, you do get proper Goombas, although they weren't quite as memorable as the Turtles. You do have Goombas, you know. Generally speaking, I take exception with the way Turtles are treated in the Mario universe. I mean, I see an arcade machine or a game cartridge, and I'm torn between wanting to play it and destroy it. Although, in the case of this movie, I do appreciate that there was some acknowledgement that while Turtles in the Mushroom Kingdom are either tyrants or just bad guys, evil bad guys, in our world, it was expressed that Turtles are friendly, cute pets that people keep as pets. And so I do appreciate them differentiating and specifying that, in a sense, by mentioning that Turtles are cool in our universe, that, you know, violence against Turtles is not appropriate, because, you know, I never like it when I see kids stepping on Turtles and kicking them down the street. You know, I mean, how many times I've had to, like, catch my turtle being thrown down the block. Like, it's just bad, you know. And luckily their show is pretty good. Although, jokes aside, I once had my Squirtle, one of my turtles, my bigger turtle, my larger turtle, fall down a flight of wooden stairs, and I screamed bloody murder. It was like a massacre to me, and luckily she seemed unscathed. Like, I didn't think the shell would crack, and it didn't. The shell was like hard as a rock. I was more worried that her arm would be out and it would, like, you know, break. And apparently turtles like her have that reflex where they retract everything, and thank goodness, because, you know, I don't want to go to a vet and I don't want them getting hurt anyway. So all is well that ends well, just as the movie was, which I can't go into any detail in terms of how it ended, because that would just, you know, end up with a bunch of spoilers, so I won't. But with that said, I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Please leave a comment if you have any questions, comments, or ideas. And with that, we shall now end transmission.